Hey, this is Don from Padlock Technologies again with another video. This time we're going to do the infamous Juniper versus Cisco debate. Now, this is not going to really be a who's better, whatever. I know Juniper just got bought by Hewlett Packard, so maybe the OS will change. Hopefully it doesn't because their OS is pretty awesome. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some Juniper syntax. Now, in my past life, Juniper was the first network operating system that I tried to learn. Unfortunately, when I got into corporate America, most people are, Cisco shop are using some version of Cisco in their environment. I really see Juniper in the service provider space. They're like killing it over there. But there are some Juniper in campus, but they don't have a lot of the market when it comes to campus enterprise networking. So if you're a Juniper person, you're probably going to make more money than a Cisco person because the pool of candidates that know Juniper is relatively small to the pool of candidates that know Cisco. So it's a pro and con here. So I'm going to go in the lab here and show you a little bit of Juniper syntax and tell you something that, if you pay attention, it's eerily similar to a Cisco OS, even though Juniper had it first. I'm going to tell you Juniper had it first, but it's very similar to a certain OS. And I'm going to tell you what that is once we get in the lab. So let's look at the lab. All right, so here's the lab here. This is a very simple lab. This is OSPF. I have it on 1, 2, and 4, and we're going to configure 3. And as we're configuring it, you're going to see the difference in configuration compared to Cisco, let's say iOS XC. All right, so let's go open here first. Open this up and move this out the way. And let me expand this a little bit more. I'm going to throw this up here. I'm probably going to have to, we'll do this. So first things first, when you log in as root. That's the first difference. Okay, so now from a Cisco standpoint, let's say you log in, you would be in user privilege mode. So now you need to get into exec mode by using EN in Cisco, and Juniper is CLI. So you go CLI, and that takes you to what we would call privileged exec mode. Now, when you want to configure something in Cisco, you would do configure terminal. Well, in Juniper world, it's just configure. Now you are in the configure terminal or global configuration mode. And as you can see, as you go from user to privilege to config mode, the prompt for config mode in Juniper is privilege exec mode in Cisco. All right. So you got to be careful because user mode is a parent sign or percentage sign, and then privilege exec mode is the caret, which would be user mode in Cisco, and then global configuration mode is the what is that? I forgot what that sign is called. Is the same sign that you would be in privilege exec mode in Cisco. So that's the thing that you gotta be careful. So what we're gonna do here is I'm going to start configuring this just a little bit, and then as I'm configuring this, you will see the difference. So what we're going to do is we're going to do set system. It's the first thing, host name, and we're going to call this VMX3. Now, that set system host name looks eerily similar to what operating system in Cisco world. Now I'm going to keep configuring, then I'll tell you the answer after this. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to configure some interfaces here. I'll just do G00, 00, and 1, and then I'll move it down and do 2. So to set the interfaces, we're going to do set interface GE000. Make sure that's 3 zeros. Then we're going to go to family. Make sure I did family right. Gotta do unit, sorry. Unit 0. That's also a little bit different. Family INET. Address 192, 168. I think this is going to be 230. 30. And then we're going to do, I think this may be 31. Hopefully I did not. We'll do that. 1, and then I'm going to move this down to 2 here. Now, if it looks a little similar to something in Cisco, it's because iOS XR has the same configuration style where you can do things, you can do all your configurations with one line of code. Now, Juniper was the first operating system that had this because I used to configure things like on their firewalls used to have like Screen OS was before Junos OS, and this was the one thing I always used to say, man, if Cisco could like copy this, it would be a game changer because just configuring everything with one line of code instead of going in the menu and then a menu into another menu and another menu is a lot easier than the kind of monolithic archaic style of Cisco IOS. All right. So I'm glad Cisco has it in iOS XR. Now, Cisco, you need to just make this a permanent in XE as well. Right. You need to be able to just do this in all your platforms. Again, I said Cisco needs to have one operating system that has everything in it, no matter what platform you're on. So you don't have to kind of memorize different, syntax based on the platform that you're on. But I'm gonna get off that soapbox. The other thing here is if you want to commit, but commit check. Now see that it says, hey, you didn't configure the root authentication, right? So let's set that now. So this is set, and you always have to do this system root authentication plain text password, and we're going to just put the password here, and then we're going to run the same commit check. It's going to look all right. Everything looks good there. All right, now I'm going to run a ping test. So we're going to ping 192.168.3.2 count 4. All right, so we're good to go there. And as you can see, a lot of these commands are very similar to like Palo Alto stuff and stuff like that. So I always say, companies copy. It is what it is. So no one's going to have some exclusive stuff. Now, when I say not going to have exclusive stuff, I mean like you're going to see people pull from other vendors because it just works, right? And ultimately, that's what matters. Is it efficient? It does it work. So I can look at Cisco and say they're great at certain things. I can look at Junos and say they're great at certain things. Again, it doesn't really matter. As a network engineer, I think you should learn both. I mean, specialize in one, but learn the other one as well. So now that we have that there, what we're going to do now is we're going to do some OSPF, and we're going to set some protocol parameters as well. So we're going to set protocol OSPF. You know what? Let me set interface loopback here. Loopback 0, unit 0. And we're going to family inet address 10.255.255. I think this is what 3/32. So we're going to do that there. We're just going to commit that as well. So now that that's committed, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to set routing options. Now this is exclusive to like Juniper stuff. So router ID. Now this would be like going to OSPF and saying, router OSPF whatever router ID this. All right. So we're going to set the router ID here. Now watch how we configure OSPF in here. So this is set protocol OSPF area 0, 0, 0, 0, interface loopback 0. So now I just put area loopback 0 in area 0, and all I have to do is go into the other interfaces and do the same thing. So we're going to do 0, 0, and I'm going to do interface type point to point. Again, you see how easy it is to really configure this stuff with one line of code. We're going to do 2. See how easy it is to configure this. Now we're going to do a commit check. And if it says it's successful, all right, everything looks good from a configuration standpoint. And when we commit it, now what we're going to do here is I'm going to do a run show OSPF neighbor. And there's my OSPF neighbors. We're in EX start on a couple of our neighbors here, but we're full on 3.2. So let's run this again. Let's make sure. Okay, so they're all full here. So that means OSPF is up. So if I want to do a run show, let me see, I could do show routes, protocol, OSPF. And there's all my OSPF routes here. There's 1, 2, and 4. So if I was to run ping 10.255, 10 not 25, but 255, 255, 1, and we're gonna count 4. Can I source this one? Let's see if I can source it from. And this is all from the from memory, by the way. These are all these commands I'm running are off memory. I haven't done Juniper in a long time, but it's all off memory. But that is like how simple, how fast I ran through OSPF. That's the benefit of the one line of configuration to do almost anything, man. You just knock out 4 lines of code and you're really doing a whole bunch of stuff. But what does that look like from a CLI? Like, so if you do show running config in Juniper, in this one, it would be show configuration. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do run, since I'm still in global, show configuration. And this is the hardest part of Junos OS, in my opinion, is learning how to read it, right? Once you learn how to read the syntax and learn how to read stuff from show running configs, pretty easy to figure out what's going on. So if we look at the configurations up top here, and it's kind of like a programming language. So if you're used to like programming, a lot of people that's used to programming love Junos OS because it's similar in its syntax. So as you can see here, here's my interfaces that I configured. So if you wanted to do this like menu by menu, you would go edit interfaces, edit GE000, unit 0, family I, you would do all this, all right? But since I did that one line of code with the set command, this is basically what it looks like behind the scenes. So here's all my interfaces that I set up, including my loopbacks. Here's my routing option right here, which was the router ID. And here's how it looks like from an OSPF perspective. So for this, it'd be edit protocols, edit OSPF, area this, and all this stuff would be here. But since I did the one line of code, pretty much I just did all this by in one line. So again, this is eerily similar to iOS XR. Anybody that I've talked to that did iOS XR, they look at Junos OS and they're like, oh, okay, I see where they got that from, and they can pretty much learn Junos OS really fast because they just know like the syntax and how to do it. Again, you just got to know how they do it in their platform if you know Cisco's platform. So this is Don from Padlock Technologies again. I hope you enjoyed this intro video to Junos OS. In the past, I was trying to be an expert in Junos, and I may get back to that. It really depends. Usually that happens when I get bored and like, oh, I need to learn something new. So I may jump back into Juniper just to learn it, just to have another tool in my toolbox. But if you like videos like this, don't forget to share, comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. My channel is growing. I appreciate everybody that makes a comment or shares my video out because it helps my channel grow. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you, and have a nice day.